Hello, this is my my mid-semester project for Bits of Good that uses the API in order to design this website. So my first step in designing this website was to create these movable buttons. So as you can see, as you click the button, it progresses the ID in order to get the next Pokemon. But if we were to go to the first one, it does not go past Bulbasaur because the ID would be 0. So the way I did this is that I did on click, it would register the event and it would add a number if I clicked on this button to the ID, and if I clicked on the left button, it would check if it was less than one. If it was less than one, if it was less than one, it would stay at one. Otherwise, it would go down one. And so that's how I got that to work. My next step was to getting the image name and the types, and so I used the array and I used a JavaScript in order to access the array information, and I used promises in order to get the received information and then implement it. So that way, whenever I clicked on these buttons, it would update the name, the image, and the types. For the formatting for the types, I use a series of if statements in order to a series of if else if statements in order to see what the exact type was, and then in order to assign the border around it in order to get it to be the right color based on the information that was provided to us. Next, in order to get the info and move section, I used a similar method where I used a button and I used a kind of like a I used like a kind of like a true or false statement in order to test if which one was clicked at what time. So if moves was clicked, it would automatically make the info button gray and it would make the moves button green. But if I clicked info, it would make that green and moves gray. And then in order to get this information, I use a similar process where I access the array information using the Java using the kind of like the inspect element for the actual API, and then I was able to display the information. For moves, I had to make the font a little bit smaller because the series of moves was so much that it wouldn't be able to fit on in the box if I used the font that I used for image, for info. And so that's kind of how I was able to come up with this project. And then in order to get the moves box, the move slash info box near the image and like on the right hand side, and then the rest of it on the left hand side, was that I was able to use the flex box features in order to align them in order to get them how I wanted it to be. And then I used the provided the Figma kind of like outline in order to get the exact like spacing and everything there to be right. Except I couldn't find the images for the arrows, so that's why I just used the dash keys for those. Thank you so much.